We are back in the kitchen really quick. I'm going to frost my son's birthday cake. He's first baby born of the year of 1987 in Indianapolis at Humana Hospital, and every year we always celebrate his birthday. We try to celebrate around midnight or on the first of the month. So anyway, what I have here is I'm going to make my version. Now you can do this on a hand mixer, or you can do this in your machine. Why was my lid not lifting? There it is, not lifting. Make sure you got a cool and very dry bowl. Make sure there's no water down in there. Make sure that you have literally sifted your powdered sugar, just like that right there. And you want, it takes a few minutes to get through a really fine sieve, but or you can just take a whisk. If you don't want to sift it like that, then you can just take a whisk. But anyway, either way, you want to get your powdered sugar nice and light. And you'll need about 3 to 4 cups of sifted powdered sugar, depending if you're going to do a 2-layered cake or just a 1 sheet cake like I'm doing. Here I have my homemade vanilla, and you can go right there and get my recipe for that. And then here I also have a 1/2 cup of shortening. I'm going to go ahead and put that into my mixer. And if you have a flour or sugar guard for your KitchenAid or for your Bosch or whatever kind of mixer you're using, or your hand mixer, be sure and put that on, and you want to be sure and start your machine off at a slow. See, on just a stir, just like that. Because, I'll turn you so you can see better. Because if you don't, it's just like any flours or anything else, you're going to get this all to come flying out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, at least while that's cooling off, I'm going to go ahead and whip up the shortening. It'll take a few minutes. So start slow. Bring it up. Now you're going to stop. Scrape everything off your whisk or your paddle. You can use either one here. I choose to use the whisk because I'm really gonna whip this up. Get that kind of down in there. There we go. Do it again. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the bulk of this in there. Should be a 1/2 cup of butter. We're going to whip it slow, scrape the bowl, speed it up, scrape the bowl, speed it up. And then we're going to let these incorporate for about 2 minutes. Start slow, build up. Stop. Scrape the bowl. This kind of turned over here. And we're going to let it go like that for 2 minutes, okay? And when this breaks and gets nice and fluffy, trust me, you're going to know it. Okay, and here's the consistency now. Look how nice and fluffy this is, and look how light and bright this got. You can do this with all butter and just not use the shortening at all, but this is how I make it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to put in 2 tablespoons, that's just 2 tablespoons here, 2 cubes of the cream cheese, one at a time. Gradually build that up. And again, we're going to beat this for an additional 2 minutes. And wow, look how fluffy this is now. Look at that. And this should be the consistency. See that? Nice and fluffy. Oh my goodness, it just feels like a pillow on my finger. Okay, and that's when you know you got it right. And that was a total beating of about 6.5 minutes altogether. So now what we're going to do is here we just have a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. probably a little less than that, and I added a few drops of water to it to thin it down just a little bit. Okay, it doesn't have to be heavy whipping cream, and you can use milk for this as well, but this is what I like to use. And I just put a teaspoon in there because I'm only going to add a couple teaspoons at a time. And I'm going to intermix this with my sifted powdered sugar, okay? And I'm only going to add 1/4 cup intervals to this, okay? So I'm not adding the vanilla just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this kind of in position. So I'm going to be able to reach here and put in a couple of teaspoons of the heavy whipping cream, the thinned down heavy whipping cream. And like I said, I probably thinned it down with maybe 1/4 teaspoon of water, probably at the most. And then with this. But I think that it's very wise to put on our splatter guard. Okay, so you won't be able to see down in there as well now. Back down in here. Start low, and we're going to start adding the powdered sugar first on low. There's a 1/4 cup. There's about a 1/2 cup. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of milk. Another teaspoon of that heavy whipping cream or milk right there. Like I said, I use the heavy whipping cream. Let that kind of blend in here. See if I can do that so you can see it a little better. 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup. Teaspoons of the heavy whipping cream. There's 3. Looking good. Nice and fluffy. And just continue to go like this until you get the amount and the consistency that you need. More liquid. Just keep intermixing it. There we go. See what we got going here. I think just to go ahead and just put in the rest of this powder will be fine. Okay, I'm going to take off my splatter guard now because the powders are no longer powdery in here, and that way you can see a little bit better about what's going on in here. I'm going to lift this up and give the bowl a really good scraping so you can get all that powder off the sides there. That won't look good on top of our cake, will it? We got to make sure that incorporates really well. Start slow. Build up. There we go. It actually looks really good. I think I might have to put a little bit more powdered sugar in there. Work with it until you get the consistency for that you need, or for frosting that you need. Okay, let's check our consistency. Oh yeah, look at that. There you go. I'm just running a finger through it and it's keeping its shape. See that? Just like that. So that's a good consistency. The whole idea of this basically is to get these sugars to relax, to get them, it's kind of like a flour, to get it to, so it's not grainy, to get it to kind of soften. Well, it's the same way with sugars as well. You want the sugars to soften and kind of meld in with that butter and that shortening. Now here, and I've showed you this to you before, you want to use a teaspoon of clear vanilla in this, if you've got it. You can use the color, but it'll darken it a little bit. Clear's best. But here, I'm using my homemade vanilla. And since, let me turn it this way a little bit here. And since that's the case, it's my homemade, instead of using the whole teaspoon, and I want to measure this, I do not want to measure this over the top of my icing. right there's my homemade. And it does have a little bit of color to it, but I'm only going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of mine because it's strong stuff. Yeah, you don't use near as much. I might not even have to even use that much. That's plenty. Blend that in. And that's all there is to it. And we just made frosting. That's my version of it, and I always add a little cream cheese. So let's give it a try. Let's give it a taste. Look at that. It's holding its own already. That's awesome. Let's get it off the mixer here. And let's see how that looks. I always just kind of take my hand and kind of grab this piece right here, kind of dump all the flour off of it, give it a little bit of a turn, see how that feels working it in my hand, just like this right here. And then we check for peaks. You see that? It's holding its own. That's perfect. You can see down in here, I can kind of get it to hold its own as well. Look at those peaks, I can get that to hold up like that. I'm gonna clean up my mess and I will be right back. Look at that, that is just beautiful. Making homemade icing takes a little bit of effort, but look at that. It is just so worth it. And just by whipping that butter first and that shortening and then combining that, and look how smooth and cloud-like that this frosting is. Are you seeing this? Look, this is perfect for cupcakes, 9 by 13 inch birthday cakes, layered cakes, okay? This is especially good on cupcake. Okay, so here we have our cake, just sitting right here on top of a rack. And we've let this completely cool. Be sure and make sure this is completely cool, okay? And the best way to tell is when you turn the cake over that it's cool right here in the center of the glass pan, okay? If you're gonna take this out of the pan, now's your time to do that. You can split this cake this direction, put a little bit of pudding or raspberry pie filling or something, strawberry filling in the center, put this, so you can layer a cake like this as well. You can cut the cake in half here, cut the corners off, and layer this into a square cake. You can do a couple of round cake pans and make a heart, okay? I'll have to show you that one. That one's a fun one. So you don't have to buy specialty pans in order to make specialty style cakes, okay? So, yeah, you don't have to have a lot of investment in it at first. Now, again, this is just for my son's birthday, so I'm going to keep it in the glass pan. Of course, if I was doing this professionally, I wouldn't be doing that, but this is the way my son likes it, and we got guests coming tonight, and I still got to get ready for the new year, get myself all dressed up for the restaurant we're going to tonight, and then we're all going to come back here and have cake and ice cream, and who does not love cake and ice cream? And then I've been to one of those bakeries, and they get the really, really rich, thick icing, you know, frosting. It's so thick and so rich, you really can't eat it. You know, it's the cake that's got all those really rich tasting roses in the corner, and then it says happy birthday or whatever on it. Well, this frosting, what I like about it is it's light and it's airy. It's sweet and it tastes like that, but it's a light, fluffy version of it. And I came up with this recipe because I had been doing the butter versions and other versions, and I just couldn't find one that I thought was light and airy tasting, that wasn't so sweet. And I think I found that in this frosting. So if that describes the taste of this frosting, and I hope that it does, now we're just going to go like this right here. Make sure we get this on here really well. And again, I'm not even breaking out the icing knife, really. I guess I probably should, but if you want more of a flat cake, then by all means trim off the hump in the cake. That's fine, but like I said, I'm leaving mine in the glass pan today. Just going to give it kind of like a little bit of a decoration just like that right there. Just going to kind of clean up my edge here, my dish. And you can see here how much frosting that it makes. It makes enough to frost the top of a cake just like this right here. Now I'm going to let the air hit this for about 20 to 25 minutes before I put any kind of plastic wrap or anything like that on here, because I don't want the plastic wrap to stick to this. I want it to get a little bit of a hard shell on top so nothing sticks, okay? Now you can decorate this up with sprinkles or whatever. Okay, but since I'm going to write Jonathan's name on here, I want the cake to be smoother than this. I just wanted to show you how you could make this. So it's already starting to kind of smooth up just a little bit. Again, I'm just kind of running it smooth like this right here. It's got a hump in the cake right there, so that makes it a little harder. But I wanted to show you how this icing is so workable. It really is workable. Just gotta work it. And there's multiple things you can do. You can add stuff like this to the top. You can do this with cupcakes. You can make this a Halloween colored cake. Christmas toppings. Sprinkle them on top. You can make, pipe on an edge or something here. You can put on some candy sprinkles of all kinds and some sugars of all kinds. My son went to Purdue, so I might even consider doing the gold. Or you can even put in the happy birthday top on here. That'll help keep the plastic out of it. There we go. We'll put that on there. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Jonathan. I cut the tip a little bit too big there. I could put, just says Jonathan, or I could do 28. There's 28. Don't want to mess with that. There you go. Looks like a New Year's little party cake, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So he should like that. That looks nice and festive. That'll work for the quick cake. Okay. And there you go. I got kind of a couple of things on there, but that looks New Year's popish of the little thingies, doesn't it? I was trying to go for that pop of the streamer look. Okay, to make it different this year. So happy birthday, Jonathan, 28. He's 28 years old. Let's get rid of that little number thing. And it just looks like confetti just fell all over here. Yep. Does that pass? Mm-hmm. I don't like this stuff that well. It's thin, and you can see it's kind of spreading out. What started out to be really thin, so you have to be really careful how short you cut this. I just wanted to try this. My husband bought this, and I wanted to try it. Simple, easy, and quick. And this is how you give your children a quick birthday cake, but with the best frosting that's not so sweet that's going to make everybody jump in circles. Okay? This is Chef and Builder Janie Pendleton, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride on our little homestead. And I hope you try this icing recipe because it really is delicious. You can put together a cake instead of a store-bought cake. You can put together your own cake really quickly. And this looks good. I mean, you can even do a couple of little shells if you know, I didn't even use the icing frosting tips. I was just showing you a quick way to make a birthday cake. All right, so I gotta get ready for my son's New Year's party bash. Blessings. Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jonathan. Happy birthday to you. Make a wish.
You probably